FBI had a mole in the Trump campaign. It's on Infowars.com. It's top story. Right before we went live, I forgot to tell you guys. There's a bunch of articles on it, but it's all press TV, and then it got picked up. Steve Watson wrote about it, but also the first people were the amazing Tyler Durgan over at the Zero Hedge. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. We'll go to break in a minute, come back with this, because I forgot to even have that in my stack. I'm so punch drunk with all the news. The Iranian government on Press TV, that's their outlet, said, we will expose you with blackmail payments if you don't roll over. Is that not the most desperate, insane behavior we've ever seen? There it is. Iran threatens to expose U.S. diplomats who took bribes to create nuclear deal. Red states got it too. Good Lord, Roger. This is spectacular. What do you make of this?
Maybe it was a rebate. My guess is it was a rebate.
Well, if I got millions of dollars from the Iranians to let them have nukes, I hope I get hung up by my toenails and beaten to death. I mean, that's why they're trying to call us traitors. Everybody knows we're Americans. We're capitalists. We are the country. We're not the ones taking foreign money, Roger.
No, in fact, the reason that the deep state is fighting so ferociously is because they know they're the ones who face jail sentences. They're the ones who face disgrace. They're the ones who have violated the law. They're the ones who've engaged in treason. That's why they must accuse us of these very crimes and destroy us, because it's us or them. And they realize that. And their whole phony facade is crumbling before our very eyes.
And it doesn't matter if Halperin is devastatingly handsome, as you see on screen. That is not going to get him away with this. We'll be back, oh my God, with Roger Stone. This is ecstasy. An attack. I know we're under attack. You're under attack. I'm not just blindly defending the president. I don't care if he gets money or even gets funded under these attacks, as long as he's bringing jobs back pro-America. But separate from that, they want to make it about Cohen getting money from AT&T and a drug Novartis or whatever to, like, advise them. I mean, I've been paid to advise major companies before because they really want my advice. But how is that illegal? Where are the Russians? They're not there, except if you look at Hillary. But meanwhile, Iran is pissed now in Press TV. This is on Infowars.com if you're a radio listener. Go look it up yourself. Threatening to release U.S. government officials they bribed for the deal. That's the briar patch Trump wants to be in. What do you make of this, Roger Stone?
I think you're calling it right on the head, Alex. The president has told me repeatedly since the beginning of his term that he was determined to get us out of the Iran deal, which he thought was a bad deal, a ripoff, as he would put it. And he was always determined. His own State Department, many of his own foreign policy advisors argued against it. The foreign policy establishment argued against it. John Kerry went out and engaged in personal diplomacy in violation of federal law, the Logan Act, and should be prosecuted.
So let me ask you, you've got all the answers. Why would they do something so reckless with this mullah dictatorship? Why did they do something that doesn't make sense?
This is why he was so determined, because he knew he had this whole card. I think you hit it exactly on the head. And I think he knew, and this became public, it would undermine what little support the deal has left.
Exactly. So what are the mullahs thinking? Because I said weeks ago it's about exposing the bribery, which was starting to come out. Are the mullahs telling deep state, kill Trump or we'll out you?
I think they are. I think they are.
Then at that point, I say vaporize their ass. I'm against these wars, but I'm tired of putting up with their Iranian, garbage.
I honestly believe the thing that bothers the president the most is the concept of pallets of cash, hundreds of millions of dollars in
36 billion now in gold and cash.
Not accounted for in the basic agreement, like a secret side deal kept from the American people.
Which we now know was a kickback to them. So how big is this?
That torques Trump beyond all words that we're being ripped off like that.
Let's explain. He's a big penny pincher.
He's the cheapest human being that ever lived, and that's the guy you want as the steward of our tax dollars.
Well, he's totally delivering. And I was interrupting you. Make your points about Iran, then I've got my points. Go ahead.
Well, I think that you're exactly right, that he always knew that he had this as a whole card, which is why he faced down the entire establishment and went ahead and cashiered this lousy deal. Needless to say, this whips the deep state types into another level of hysteria that they've got to get rid of it as quickly as possible. He's already taken us out of Paris. They were apoplectic about that. the Paris Climate Accords. Now it's the Iranian deal. He's on
He
the
killed the
verge.
TPP. Listen, I criticized him on Syria, but that was because I love him. But only people think I'm off the Trump train. It's the opposite. He's so good, it's crazy. What do you make of Brennan coming out and saying Trump's a chump with North Korea when they're about to blow up their tunnels? They've agreed to give up their nukes. You can tell wanting to have peace and actually deciding to do it. I mean, you can see the shift because the globalists never wanted peace. Trump's saying it's over. I mean, this is incredible.
No, basically, Brennan is publicly admitting that he couldn't get a deal done, that he and Bush could not get a deal done, that he and Obama could not get a deal done because the North Koreans viewed us as pussies. Now the North Koreans now believe that the United States has got a real leader who will smack them hard if they get out of line, and that peace is much more palatable than somebody who is not going to let you get away with what Obama let him get away with. In this case, the saber rattling has paid off. It brought them to the table.
Well, Roger, you're one of my big sources, but obviously, you know, I've got a lot of big sources. And I was told when I was on a skiing trip in early March that they already agreed tacitly to give everything up. This was all going to happen because there'd been a strategic tension and that the globalists didn't want peace before. The U.S. was basically had more control of North Korea through the Clintons than the Chinese did. Now you hear, word for word, what I was told a month and a half ago, Pompeo on Fox News this morning said, Fox News Sunday said, we're going to give them power plants. We're going to give them industry. And they go, oh, but he's a dictator. He's like, it won't matter. It's like China. The people are going to get meat. They're going to get food. Our deal is that we're going to industrialize them. Korea is the most productive country in the world per capita. We're about to do that. It looks like Trump has successfully, so we know China's had a bunch of wars with Korea. They actually hate Korea. Trump has successfully peeled them off. If this ends up happening, this is the ultimate coup against communism. I am beside myself if this happens.
Well, Alex, the little rocket man wants Coca-Cola. He wants a piece of the pie. He could share the Nobel Peace Prize if he gets something done and if he moves in a peaceful direction.
Exactly. And the globalists wanted to keep tension and fighting going forever to sell weapons. Trump goes, I'll sell weapons to Japan and South Korea and the North. We're not going to use the damn things. You're going to be making big screen TVs, North Korea. Exactly. You can tell, though, the globalists are panicking. Their strategy of crisis is coming to an end. But let's not start getting too confident. When you come back and you host, you're going to cover whatever you want in the last segment, Roger, because I respect you. I want to give you time here. You got a big night ahead of you. Turn down that hot blonde tonight or hot brunette or whatever. Your beautiful wife, brunette. The point is that we're sitting here looking at this. What's the six? What's the jack? What's the threat? What do we got to look for? Let's not start getting too confident here, even though it looks like total victory's within grasp.
Well, in all honesty, I think that we faced the greatest challenge we ever faced. The hysteria of the deep state is ratcheting up. This just moves Mr. Mueller into high gear and trying to make something of the Michael Cohen affair, the details of which are still not clear, but somehow figure out a way to euchre that into testimony against Donald Trump. The increasing scouring of the earth for Russian collusion where none can be found, the tactics being used by Mr. Mueller, their refusal to turn over to the executive branch the information and documents pertaining to the illegal surveillance of the Trump campaign. The liberals want to talk about a constitutional crisis. There it is.
I was about to say, we were in D.C. together last year when the front page of the New York Times said Trump was surveilled. We already knew that. A week later, they said we never said that. Now they've been proven to be liars. And now it's all come out that Brennan and Comey and Mueller lied to Congress. These guys are sitting ducks, except you've got that attorney general who I think they caught, the word is a KKK outfit.
Well, something. He's either doddering or he's compromised. Look, there's a common thread here. The New York Times reported that Manafort and I and Carter Page were under FISA surveillance. They have never retracted that story. The government in the Manafort case refuses to turn over in discovery any evidence of government surveillance, insisting he was never surveilled. Jeff Sessions is refusing to hand over to Congress
Jeff Sessions is a compromised globalist operative. The fake QAnon's totally compromised. Roger Stone on the other side will host and give you a report on the current state of the battle. But hey, we're winning. The economy's coming back. So many good things are happening, but it doesn't mean that they won't kill the president or start a civil war. So we've got to be super laser beam focused. They're trying to block us and censor us at every front. Newswars.com, Infowars. But it's just sick when the communist Chinese